the show is what we do 1 week out of the year, right? The other 360 days out of the year, SEMA is advocating for us.
Today on That Car Show, we've got Melanie White. Melanie's the fourth generation leader of Hellwig Products, a legacy California company known for designing and manufacturing high-quality, American-made suspension components. But she's also the chair of SEMA, the Specialty Equipment Market Association. You know SEMA and the giant SEMA show that takes place each year in Vegas. What does it take to run a thriving manufacturing business in 2026, and what goes into pulling off one of the largest automotive events on the planet? We also dive into the challenges facing the aftermarket, the whole EV thing, and SEMA's advocacy on behalf of enthusiasts like us. It's Melanie White, and it's That Car Show. Hey, it's That Car Show, and we've got Melanie Hellwig White with us today. Melanie is the fourth generation leader of Hellwig Products, a legacy California company best known for designing and manufacturing vehicle suspension and load control components for cars, trucks, SUVs, and off-road vehicles. Hellwig is a major player in the space, but Melanie's also the chair of SEMA, the Specialty Equipment Market Association, whose annual SEMA show draws something like 100,000 people from all over the world to Las Vegas to check out the latest automotive performance products and trends. It's a very big deal, and so is Melanie, and I'm here with Michael and Lindsay today as well. We're really happy to have Melanie join us on That Car Show.
Thank you, Melanie.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. And so you literally grew up in the automotive industry. So tell us about your family business, Hellwig Products, and what it was like being so immersed in this world, literally from day one, I guess.
Yeah, so I have been, my dad always, what I knew about the company is my dad always drove a really cool truck. So I was like, I'm in, I like that. But, we kept the family business pretty separate from our family life. He would come at night and sometimes work on projects around here. And, my sisters and I would have fun with the phones and, pretending to drive forklifts and things like that. But really my introduction to the company was my dad and his vehicles. And, he did this thing called bat turns where he would just turn really quickly. And the vehicle handled so well. So that was my first experience with how well a vehicle with really good suspension handled. And he always had sway bars on his vehicles. So, so that was my early introduction, but there was never this come work for the family business. There wasn't, encouragement in that way. It was always, find your own path. And then my path did lead here.
Nice. I love that. I love the idea that he's demonstrating the skill and the quality of the products with very formative experiences and something that you remember so fondly. That's so cute.
Yeah. It's the best cure for motion sickness, really.
Start him young. Huh?
Yeah. I don't know. I got motion sickness all the time when I was young, but now I understand you need to have the really good suspension on your vehicles to be able to prevent that.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Now, the company's been around for 4 generations. Has the product line always been kind of similar, or what did the company start producing from the beginning?
So we're turning 80 this year. So
congratulations.
Yeah. In 1946 started as a corporation, but had the idea earlier in 44, but we couldn't get steel. All of our goods were going to the war efforts and not to making products. So in 46, they could get steel, and they started manufacturing at night in a garage after hours. So my great grandfather had a full-time job, and my grandpa was a senior in high school. So they would manufacture.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And they would sell door to door on the weekends. So my great grandfather would go knock on the door. It was really obvious if you needed Hellwig, because we started with helper springs. And a vehicle, if it has too much weight in the back, it sags. And so it was really obvious. They'd go up to the door and say, hey, I can fix that problem. And they would install, my grandpa, being a senior in high school, would install the product, lay on his back in their driveway, and install it all for $7. And
Wow.
I think about that and I think, well, I don't even think I get to buy anything for $7 more, like as an, as an organization.
Let alone with installation included.
Yeah, exactly.
And delivery, like it shows up and you don't even have to move.
That was the original free shipping.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how Hellwig got started. So when my grandpa used to come into the to Hellwig, years ago when he was still alive, he would, want to know where different pallets were going because that's where he started, was at this very small level, and then would get really excited. Oh, that's going, across the country. Oh, this one's going, internationally sometimes. So he was always like really in awe of that. But I think that's because that's where he started, was in that door to door manufacturing in a garage.
Yeah.
That is wild. I love the
That's
name
awesome.
too, the Helper Spring.
Yeah.
Like it's so evocative, and it's like, it's very British because it's quite literally what it does,
Yeah.
which I love.
I know. Yeah, I love that too. Yeah.
So can you describe, for the people that don't know, can you describe what that is and like how it works a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So, but definitely in the 40s, most vehicles came with a leaf spring on the vehicle. So, and a vehicle with a leaf spring is potentially, most of the OEs, they manufacture to, I always say the middle, right? We're kind of on this fringe. We always like to play in that. And so if you're really going to test your vehicle, and, put extra weight, different things like that. And back in the 40s, they would have passenger cars were everything. Now we have trucks and we have all of these different like vehicles that are more specific. But back in the 40s, there were passenger cars and they had leaf springs on them. And the helper spring sits on top of the leaf spring and adds that extra support. So, and then we have now, I was starting to explain what we have now, but we have progressive rated springs now. So the helper spring sits on top of this spring and they don't touch at the end until weight comes on. And so then they slowly touch and it becomes like a progressive rate as you load the vehicle. So you're not like stuck with all of that extra spring rate right away. So, but most vehicles now, most passenger cars, they all have coil springs. Even some of the trucks have coil springs. So our helper springs fit with all of the leaf spring applications. We have something for all of that. But really where Hellwig has grown is in the sway bar market. So we launched in the 60s sway bars into our lineup. So something that's unique about Hellwig is we're heat treated and hot formed. So we have big old furnaces, 2000 degrees. It gets hot here in the summer and then you sit in front of a furnace too. So that's real fun.
It's like your own sauna at work.
It definitely is. Yeah. So this time of year, I love to hang out with the hot forming guys because it's like, it's cold here. Yeah. But in the summer, I'm like, oh, but it's fine. Like I have the toughest guys that work for me.
I bet.
Yeah, they are so tough.
That's awesome.
But we have 2000 degree furnaces. So we're heat treated and hot formed, which we bend the metal when it's red hot, and then we put it into an oil bath, and then it cools slowly, and then it goes into a draw furnace from there. So we have those capabilities here, and we had those in the 60s, and so that's why we brought sway bars into our lineup, because it fit into what we were doing. So we heat treat and hot form our sway bars, which not very many people do in the market. We're really the only one that does that exact manufacturing. So it means that we get business from different OEs. We get to make sway bars for these they're fire trucks, but they're airport fire trucks, and it has like 3 sway bars on it, and they're massive. They're like 3-inch sway bars because it's all of that water. Water's so heavy, and then to like move quickly. So, we make all kinds of different sway bars. We have our aftermarket side, our OE side of the business, and then we also private label. So.
Okay. Is that Oshkosh by chance?
It is.
that you work with? Okay, sure. Yeah, I'm a Wisconsin guy
Yeah.
originally, so I know Oshkosh. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's
So
super cool.
in
Yeah.
Pierce. So yeah.
Oh yeah, in Appleton. Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
So
My
what?
secret is before I was a car guy, when I was a kid, I was really into fire engines.
Oh my God.
You probably know more about those.
Fire engines were your gateway vehicle.
Yeah, that was my
That was your first. Yeah. You're.
yeah. Then you get to about 12, and cars seem to be the move, right?
Okay, yeah.
But,
Sorry, it's hard to
that's-
pick up girls in a fire engine.
Well,
Right.
it depends on what kind of girls you're looking for, right?
I guess. I mean, you can pick them up cheap at the local county auctions. Maybe
not
I've done it all
Oshkosh.
wrong.
Yeah, aren't Oshkosh like those are multi-million-dollar machines, right? They're crazy,
They're crazy.
engineered things. But
Yeah.
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 What are some of the other bigger markets for you? Is it overlanding anymore? Or?
Oh, definitely. So overlanding, we call them the overloaders. So, they put all of their weight up high.
Everything. They want to bring their whole house with them.
They
Literally.
do. Yeah. I mean, we have those vehicles too. So we live in that space. But yeah, so it's any weight up high, and we build these project vehicles to show just how much weight you can put on them, and just what our products do. So we have a Ranger that I actually bought, and my son drives it now, and I would never let him do it unless it had Hellwig suspension on it, because it's so much weight up top. It's just a lot of weight overall. So yeah, they're definitely overloaders. And our products help with that quite a bit. So
That's the funniest name. So can you talk about what's the advantage? You mentioned the manufacturing process is unique to the Hellwig products, and forgive me, I know you said the furnaces are incredibly hot. So what are the advantages of manufacturing the products that way?
yeah, so it's longer, it's durability. So on all of our steel products, we have a lifetime warranty, and we can do that because of our manufacturing process, because it just adds to that durability.
What do your competitors do? I'm just curious. What's their lesser way of doing this?
They do a lot of cold forming. So they cold form.
Okay. Okay. Is that forged then, or how? What's that process? What's cold forming? It's just.
So it's usually like a tube bender. So they'll take, just a bar stock, and then the bender. I mean, we have that too. So we have both in our lineup. So if you want,
Sure.
I can provide whatever you need.
Sure.
But the bender will, bend different shapes, whatever you're needing for the sway bar. Yeah, and it allows a little bit more flexibility in certain bends. So some of the more the ones that require extra sharp bends, we will sometimes do that on the tube bender versus hot forming it. And that's really on the car side of the market, because the truck, the OE side, it's very much that heat treated hot formed, where like the car, they're not moving as much weight around.
And if I remember my high school chemistry, like you're actually changing the molecular structure as you form it. Like cold, it's just kind of bending around, versus heat treated and heat formed. You're moving the grains to be more parallel, so it's more linear, and it doesn't have a chance to shear off and break and fatigue, like something that you just kind of bend over your knee and kind of like almost like a paper clip, right? You can kind of work it just enough and then it snaps, versus if you heat it, you can kind of make it any shape you want. So there's a molecular change going on there too, if I remember correctly.
You are totally right. Yeah.
Michael, in your coveralls there, in your garage, you're like our own little Mr. Wizard. I love it.
I know.
Well, I mean, if you ever, it's a fascinating process to watch. And Melanie, I don't know. I mean, obviously proprietary stuff notwithstanding, to demonstrate how much force, how much pressure, how much heat, how much, like, by the way, just space, because you may have a 3-foot wide bar, but the line is huge to do all, like, it's a fascinating thing. It's just mass, like, I mean, you got to have hundreds of thousands of square feet of manufacturing space to accomplish what you do.
So we're right around 80,000 square feet.
Okay.
So yeah.
That's still a lot. That's still a lot of space to be moving stuff around. Big, heavy bar stock. A lot of cold rolled steel that has to be uncoiled, because it comes in coils.
For us, so we get just bar stock in it like anywhere from like it's about 20 feet. I was going to give you like, oh,
Okay.
this is my what I look for, but it's about 20 feet that we get
Sure.
both flat stock and round stock in. And then we cut it, we coin it. So that's another part of what we do in the heat treating hot forming process is that we coin the ends so they're not welded on, where some folks in the market weld on the ends. So we like to minimize any sort of risk of something not working properly.
I've broken welded on sway bars on race cars. So like, yeah, the coining, they flatten it, guys. They flatten it rather than it like be a separate piece that welds on to the bar. So it's still part of the bar, but they just squish it so that it can be the mount versus a lot of people will just cut the end, shape it, and then weld it together. And that weld is the only thing really, the irony of the weld is what's holding the whole thing together by and large, rather than it being the entire structure integrity of the bar.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Coining is the way to go, obviously.
Very much so.
We believe that.
If you ever look at a bar and you see a weld around it, you just stay away. I mean, these folks are big Porsche people, and so I mean, if you go look at the sway bar on your Porsche, it definitely doesn't have welded ends.
No, I believe it. Yeah, They
Well,
do
I have them
things
on
right.
my M3 too, so I'm going to go check those as soon as we're done here.
Yeah.
And depending on which aftermarket companies you buy from, sometimes they, and it's obviously cost, and engineering, but it doesn't mean they're bad. They just, for someone like Melanie to have a lifetime warranty on something, not too many people can offer that because they don't have the faith in the product.
Yeah, that says a lot. Yeah.
Not that it's a bad product. It's just that, it just can't keep up with time and abuse.
Well, it's always a good sign when a company is willing to lifetime warranty their own products. Like, it gives you a lot of confidence as the buyer and the user.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Melanie, what do you attribute? Now I'm going to say the overloaders. What do you attribute the
I know
overlanding?
I love that.
I love that phrase. I mean, in LA especially, you see these people. I'm sorry to diverge a bit, but you see these people that are clearly have these rigs, a lot of Land Cruisers, Pathfinders, Forerunners, and they're spick and span, right? And they've never gone off road with these things, but they are loaded to the hilt with 36-inch tires. And it is as clean as could be. And I mean,
they want to, though. You can tell how badly they want.
But I mean, in some ways, that's the target market because you never have to warranty that because it never goes off road.
But Melanie, you're never going to get a warranty claim, at least.
Yep.
Yeah.
You are an overlander, though, I understand. I mean, you actually, you practice what you preach, yeah?
I do. Yep. So we have a Ranger in our lineup. We used to have a F-150, and I've used both of those in that rooftop tent scenario, which is actually way better than setting up a tent yourself. I just recently did a trip with a girlfriend to Joshua Tree, and we stayed in the rooftop tent, and it was amazing. It was one of those like dark nights where you
can actually see the stars.
Yeah, so you could see the stars. It was amazing. So I definitely.
It sounds magical.
It was amazing. And it's really cool because like I get kind of numb. I'm sure you guys feel this, but I get a little bit like, that's cool. Yeah. And my girlfriend she's very adventurous, but had never really been exposed to like that overlanding kind of camping world. And she was like, wait, you know the person that makes this,
That's cool.
Yeah. So it was like, oh yeah, this is really cool. Like I know people in this space. I could call anyone if I had an issue, right? It's just kind of unique to be able to play with the things that you also are in business with. And just it was fun. For sure.
That's really cool. Well, it gives you such a unique perspective then to take back to work too, I'd imagine, because you're living it, you know what the needs are and how to exceed your customers' expectations.
Yeah, for sure. And that was a really windy, it was a vehicle with a rooftop tent, and it was a super windy trip over the Tehachapi grade. I don't know if you guys are familiar.
Oh boy.
It was like I was so miserable, and I was like, oh, I'm actually fine though. Like because I had the right equipment.
Yeah, your confidence in what's getting you there.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's a tough drive though when you're fighting it the whole way and you're just okay. It wears you out.
And it is really, and it's just a windy grade in general. And it was just extra windy. So
because why not?
Do you leverage those stories in your marketing materials and things? Because I think, you're pretty unique, right? You have this legacy company, right? Made in America, right? People that I'm sure have worked for you for decades, right? Is that a big part of your message to customers? Do you lean on that?
We could do a better job of it. I really try hard on my own personal LinkedIn to share those things too, because it's just something that I love to talk about. So, that's what you tend to share. I love talking about my team. I really love talking about like my own personal experiences with our product as well. And then we do a little bit on we do a good job on our marketing too, but I think we could always do better on that kind of stuff. So
you have what your competition wishes they had, right? And that's pretty cool. It's one of the things I really like about your company.
Yeah.
That sounds like your LinkedIn is like stealth organic influencing without the intent to be an influencer.
I know, probably not. But I really love sharing my message. So I try to.
Well, it's authentic too, and that's really what resonates. It's like people know they can trust you. They know that you're actually doing it, so that when you say something, it's with experience, and data behind it, and they can trust it.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, that's the cool, right? That's the mission.
That's the hope. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some of the trends you're seeing in overlanding? And is there another sort of big thing around the corner, maybe that's not overlanding as we know it?
Yeah. So what we're seeing, it tends to be the vehicles that people are overlanding with. During COVID, there was so much where you couldn't, really what we learned in COVID was not necessarily that, we are competition with each other. It was really like we learned in COVID that our competition is like the movies, going out to eat and things like that. Like,
how funny.
What happened during COVID was like everyone wanted to go outside, however they could get there. And what I thought would be sort of like a flash in the pan with that like overlanding market has really like stuck. That's awesome to see that's like overlanding, but RV too. There was a lot of movement into the RV space, buying trailers, campers, things like that.
Right.
We serve that market too. So that was what I've been really surprised by is that trend is still continuing to happen. So there's all different platforms people are putting things on, and that kind of stuff is what we're seeing, but there's still a lot of people out there playing with their vehicles that way. So that's fun to see.
So what are you seeing people overlanding the most vehicle wise, like now? Like where has the trend gone?
So a lot of the Toyotas are big. So like 4Runners, we're seeing that, Tundras, Tacomas. So that seems to be a big space, but really, it's a little like a Subaru or something like that too. Like we're seeing that. We don't take care of that market, so I don't pay attention as closely to that as I do like the ones that we really service.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, with your background, you were an obvious choice to chair SEMA, and I think most people know SEMA for the SEMA show, which brings in so many people from all over the world. I think 140 countries I read somewhere, which is just such an achievement. But SEMA, the organization, is a lot more, isn't it? I mean, you lobby for enthusiasts like us. You do. How would you describe SEMA to someone who may only know SEMA for the show?
Yeah, so I mean, the show is what we do 1 week out of the year, right? So the other 360 days out of the year, SEMA is advocating. Really, I think the biggest thing that SEMA is doing is advocating for us. So their government affairs, and that's actually what how SEMA started in the beginning, was there was all of this enforcement happening in the 60s, really like around racetracks and land usage, all of those things were happening. And so like a group of manufacturers got together. So SEMA is now the Specialty Equipment Market Association, but it used to be the Specialty Equipment Manufacturing Association. And so a bunch of manufacturers got together, and they really got together to ban against, this like government, all of these policies coming into play that were going to hurt their business. And I think one of the things that I love about it, and what I've seen as I've been on the board and now I'm chair of the board, is that we really are going back to our grassroots of really protecting our right to modify our vehicles. That is so key. I mean, there's so much that we want to, as Americans, the love of the automobile is real, and we want to be able to make it our own. And so that's why I really think outside of the show, that is the biggest thing that I think SEMA gifts people with. But there's so much other stuff that SEMA does. I mean, there's a SEMA garage. So as a member, I have access to vehicles before they get to market. So there's measuring sessions that happen. I even have ability to get CAD drawings and things like that. So I can get ahead of designing product. They have different things where like student programs, so youth engagement, which is really important to me too. And then just that like technology aspect. So, there's so many new cameras on all of our vehicles. I mean, and you modify one little thing and it throws a camera off. So like SEMA is really working hard on that aspect of like the ADAS side of the business too, to make sure that members know how to, I was going to say work around, but no, we want to work with them.
Work with, integrate.
Definitely mean.
Integrate.
In collaboration.
Fully.
Yeah. So making sure that we're using these like really highly sophisticated programs on these vehicles, and our products don't interfere with them. So SEMA helps companies do that as well. And then just so many other things too.
I don't think SEMA gets enough credit as an organization for the reach that they, to your point, that they, I don't provide's the wrong word, but that they facilitate, because correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys are now at what, 180,000. You guys passed World of Concrete as the largest trade show that is attended in at least America, right? Mm-hmm. So World of Concrete, which if you don't know is it happened just a couple of weeks ago. It's literally like takes over. It takes up so much square mileage of Las Vegas, but there's like excavators and all sorts. But it's World of Concrete. It's all about building products. But it drew people in from all around the world, and in the last few years, SEMA's surpassed as far as attendance, and 190,000 this last year.
So 160 is what 60? The last year
still
was. Yeah. I want to stick with your number. But
no, nothing else comes close to that.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about that: 160,000 people descending on Las Vegas for essentially 4 days.
City, yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, there are cities. They're coming from cities that are smaller than how many people show up. Yeah. And then the thing that I don't think gets enough credit, and correct me if I'm wrong, but as I understand it, that's the largest collection of small businesses in America.
You stole it from me. I was going to say that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've had the pleasure of being able to attend since 2019. Yeah. And the business side of me always loves how the orchestration works, right? Because putting together a show of that nature and that size is equally as fascinating as the people that are there and the products that are there, and obviously the reveals and the displays and whatnot. But just the mechanics of it. And I would argue my big complaint, and we had the lovely chance to talk to Mr. Spagnolia at the LA Auto Show, but my big complaint, we kvetched about it, was the tram couldn't keep up this year with the people that were coming in and out of it. So, even the city hasn't kept up with the quality of, the growth and just the quality and people wanting to be there. And that speaks volumes to, we all put up with some stuff because you want to be at the event, and that speaks volumes to what you guys have created and again, fostered with regards to small businesses, with regards to networking, with regards to the SEMA job board. SEMA Garage is something that I've been pushing Lindsay and Ryan and our other co-host Dan to come out and see, because I got a chance to see it a couple of years ago, and it's fascinating that OEs are willing to work with you in a very collaborative way, and like you said, share CAD drawings, share specs, so that you can help supplement their products in a positive way for the customer and the end user. And it's not this competition that you're taking market share from them or taking products from them or whatever the case may be. And that collaboration only, rising tide lifts all boats versus, this adversarial position, not to get political, but sometimes governments and local municipalities take towards these matters. So it's just, it doesn't maybe get enough credit for bringing people together that than just being like a spectacle, which it is in a good way, but it is really about the integration and the collaboration.
Yeah, that is so well said, because it is about the collaboration, right? So I think even in the OEs understand that a highly modified vehicle, a vehicle that can be highly modified, sells better than one that can't. And so they really want to work with companies like ours. And the innovation that happens in our space too is really significant. So, in the last year, there's been this SEMA has been really advocating for technology neutrality. So don't just EVs. Like, yes, we want to have the cleanest vehicles on the road, but sometimes EVs are not that clean. It takes, almost 30,000 miles for an EV to get to the same, environmental impact as a regular vehicle. So it's an interesting thing that's happening where, there's hydrogen vehicles that are showing at the show. There's new fuel technologies that are coming out. So there's all of this innovation happening. And so we really want that neutrality to be available so that it sparks that innovation for, cleaner vehicles. So, I love that part of SEMA, and that really that drive for innovation as well.
Yeah.
Well, and I love they protect the right to modify, because like you said, we do love to customize our vehicles. And I also feel like we need to protect the right to modify t-shirts for everybody. I mean, would we wear
Well, I
those?
mean, it's twofold, right? You have protect the right to modify it, but you have to have the respect the right to repair.
Yeah.
I mean, when you can't get OE without a multi-$1,000 scan tool or OE dealer level stuff, you can't even fix the small things. I mean, I'm going to speak just for myself in not on your behalf, Melanie, but here in California, like if you show up at a check with the check engine light on to the smog and you're just trying to, keep your car running, and it's one thing to have that frustration, but if you're a local, shop that you as a small business and you really like, they can't even figure it out like that it becomes a little cumbersome, and that's not what this is about. It's really about being able to be mobile, being, having the freedom that whether that's overlanding, whether that's, racing, whether that's just taking a Sunday drive, or it's just commuting. Like, not everybody's a car person, great, but they still need to commute. And trying, SEMA does such a good job behind the scenes that I think they could, in my personal opinion, could have a louder bullhorn about helping even the average person just keep their car on the road longer, so that they're not, forced to get into a financial situation that maybe they're not, able to, because we're just making it possible to just work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Make it work. And before, when you could just get a carburetor tune or done whatever, that was, everybody could do it and your local mechanic could do it and everybody went down the road. But now with proprietary software and all the stuff that's going on, and ADAS is a big thing, obviously, with regards to modifying it and headlight levels and all the things. I understand, because correct me, what is it, 27 or 28 automatic braking comes in?
I think it's 28, but yeah, but soon.
Right. So a new car is going to have automatic brake.
Yeah. In forced to, right? So most of us do,
Right.
on most of the vehicles, but they'll be forced to very soon. And I remember, so Hellwig went through when they had the FMVSS 126 with the electronic stability control on it. We did some testing to make sure our products didn't interfere. We knew they wouldn't, but we wanted to make sure, because there was so much there was a lot of tactics around that out there. And so we just, we went through testing. We could prove that, we had no interference with the product, but we did that all through SEMA. So I think that's that, it doesn't have to be scary, but you kind of need a partner to help you navigate
Right.
this. And SEMA's doing a lot of work on what vehicles are the easiest to are the best to modify. With lift kits and things like that. So there's just a lot of stuff that's happening on that end. And you were speaking, Michael, about the the right to repair. I was in DC not a couple years ago, and one of the she's a Congress woman. Her and her husband owned a small business in a repair shop, and the scary thing is, and like she talks about this, is a bulb goes out in your light. You have to replace the whole light fixture. And that's $1,000 when it's like a $2 bulb.
Yeah.
That's really
insanity.
And she's like, we have to protect, everyone. And she's like, I have a lady in my waiting room crying because she can't pay $1,000 for this when it really should be only $2. So it's those kinds of conversations that we need to be having because, I don't know if I'm thinking about that most of the time, right? But SEMA is. We need an organization to be thinking about that.
We know that SEMA is so we can relax
Yeah.
in our daily lives.
Well, no, I mean, we need companies like Hellwig, and here's why. In my last soapbox moment is that you have these situations where I'm going to dispel the myth right now. There's no 10-year federal rule that car companies have to support their products for 10 years, i.e. with repair parts. That's been like a myth for decades that people propagate and the internet's propagated. Car companies don't have a federal mandate to like repair parts. They could stop making repair parts for last year's model tomorrow if they wanted to. And what you have is that's where you have companies like Hellwig. That's where you have companies that are part of SEMA. They're providing the parts that keep your car on the, keep people's cars on the road, because the OEs, and I get it, they're in the selling new car business. But once that old stock is gone, it's gone. They're not going to retool it. They're not going to remake it. Maybe the manufacturer went out of business. God only knows what's happened. But keeping this stuff on the road SEMA's done a great job of rallying the smaller companies to keep this stuff. I mean, yes, it's cool to have the innovation. It's great to have those forward thinkers, but even just the practical stuff, we still need so desperately because the OEs, right, wrong, or otherwise, don't or can't support it. And yes, there's the high end of the market and the Porsche Ferraris and they do that very well and they do the refurbishing, but GM or Ford or some of the other, and I'm not calling them out specifically, I'm just saying you don't have that level of support because they just can't. They just have too many vehicles. I mean, just the logistics of it. And that's where the aftermarket and more importantly, the small business owner comes in and fills that gap. And you guys support keeping these cars on the road. And it's not, yes, the modifying's fun, but it's also just the practical side too. And I think that gets lost in the message sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
You should hire this guy.
I know.
No, I love this group of people. To me personally has meant a lot, but also it does a lot. And I think too many times we, either it's the excess of, the YouTube stuff or the cost of some of these things. I appreciate that it's easy to categorize people, but really these are innovators. These are forward thinkers. These are people solving a problem that in many cases, most of people don't realize they have, or they're going to have, more importantly. Yeah. And I think that's where, we as a community and as an industry don't do a good enough job of saying, we're just not here to rip through your town and do street takeovers, which some people do, unfortunately. It's that we're here
yourself,
to,
right?
Well, I mean, at my age with this gray hair, what do you think I do every day? But no, I just SEMA's a great organization and they've been around a long time, but more importantly, they've done a lot of great works and the show's fun and it's flashy and it's cool and it's great for social media. But to your point, the other 360 days of the year, what you guys accomplish and what more importantly you manage to wade through with regards to the complexities of not just federal, but even state and local bureaucracy is impressive. Mm-hmm. And I think that cannot be understated or overstated.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I think a lot of this is evidenced by the fact that you are seeing OEMs actually have with model. Say that again. Sorry, you're seeing OEMs offer aftermarket parts from new, which is really really neat. Right?
Yeah.
Do you see more of that in the future?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely they're now competing with us, right? With that, what is the form of flattery is when someone copies, right? So,
Imitation.
Yeah, is imitation. But I think one of the cool things is when you look at those products that they're offering as an aftermarket, a lot of those are private label. They're made by companies So you go to Target and buy the paper towels off the shelf. It's not Target doesn't make it. It's someone else who makes paper towels all the time. It's the same, even in that world, is that a lot of times there's that opportunity for aftermarket to serve in that space. And someone else's brand goes on it, which I'm always like, just let me make it. I'm happy if my brand, if I get to make it, because that's where we really thrive is in that, in manufacturing.
Can we get back to the SEMA show? Because when I look at a show that size, I have a tough time wrapping my head around just even attending, much less running the thing. What is that like, that level of responsibility? And I guess I'll wrap into this the fact that SEMA, which was traditionally, historically a trade show, has now become open to the public in a way that it used to not be, right? What were you part of that decision making, I guess, A, and then B, what does it take just to put on a show that's the biggest show in town, to Michael's point?
Yeah, so the biggest show in town. Luckily, we have someone really talented. Tom Gattuso is like the most talented person in the show world. I feel like he just does an amazing job making sure that everything happens the way that it should. And he has an amazing team with him as well. So SEMA really has an awesome team that executes that show. And then a few years ago, SEMA did decide to open, the board did decide to open up Friday to the public. So it used to be a trade only. You'd have to, sometimes you're like, you have a buddy that got you in, right? You would know, but now Friday is open to consumers, which is awesome because it does two things, right? It gives consumers a legit way to get into the show. And then it kind of protects that B2B, that business to business relationship the rest of the week as well. So it's kind of fun. And then Friday is this like really fun experience. There's the SEMA cruise that happens. The coolest vehicles that you can find anywhere are at the SEMA show. And it happened organically years ago where, all the vehicles leaving the show, like just random people from Las Vegas would just like set up their chairs and watch the vehicles leaving the show. And so then SEMA decided like we need to make this more official. So they started the SEMA cruise, which is all the vehicles that are leaving the show. So like all the vehicles that are in the show, they end up in like the SEMA cruise at some point. And then, so the SEMA Cruise as well as SEMA Fest. So there's a concert that also happens on Friday night, which sort of gets to be that like, cherry on top for anyone that's in that consumer world as well. And I think this year was our third year for the SEMA Fest to happen as well. So it's just this like world where like music and cars, like anything that you're sort of like, your passions, it's all comes together that one day. But I mean, this is a year-round event to plan, to make it happen, to get all of the square footage used in like we use all of the square footage in the Las Vegas Convention Center. And then this last year, we were even in the Westgate, had booths over there. So there's booths outside because we can't fit them all inside. So there's stuff happening everywhere there. And I love the activations that are happening outside. Yeah. I don't get to experience them very often, but this last year, I got to ride in a couple different vehicles in the Optima area where they were out there doing donuts, and I got to be
Nice.
in one. Yeah.
Which one did you get to be in?
I got to be in a trophy truck. But
Oh, wow.
Oh,
it was at the end of the day, and it was pretty hot. And they were like, "Hey, when you're going this, you're gonna need to wear a full on like hot suit,
like a suit.
yeah." And they're like, "But it's no big deal." And I was like, "Is it not a big deal?"
Famous last words.
Like, sure, Jan. Okay.
I've never done I've never had to wear one before. I've got to do this experience before. Well, we go out and all of a sudden, like something happens. He blows like a head gasket and it like smoke, steam, like is entering the cab, right? And we're doing this for social media. Like, oh, like, look at what happens at SEMA. And I didn't buckle myself in, so I didn't know how to get myself out. I have a helmet on, and I can't really,
Right.
I know I could take off the helmet, but I guess I started. So we pulled off after drifting, and there's just more and more. You can't see anything. And at some point, someone said, if you just need to fall out, like someone came and unbuckled me and then said, if you just need to fall out, I'll catch you. And I was like, I must have been really freaking out at that time. We didn't use that on social media. It might have been probably entertaining, but I haven't even seen footage of that.
I'm shocked. I can't imagine that you were like,
thank you for that exclusive. But I mean,
Yeah.
but it is there. You're there to, for the experience.
Yeah.
And that definitely is an experience for the ages.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the story that you got.
I know. I'd be okay if I didn't have that again, though.
Yeah, that's a pretty intense. Like, luckily you had done it before. I mean, if that was your first time, you'd be like, and I'm good.
Yeah.
All set.
Yeah. I mean, it's so fun what they do too. So we at least got like 3 turns in, and then it was like, ooh, something happened.
You're like,
Yeah.
You're like, I have products for that.
Yeah.
Well, so how do you describe, for people that haven't been to SEMA, and I love that you obviously come to it from a very different perspective, like how do you describe the event? And obviously that's not all that you do. And I think people do forget that you guys are working behind the scenes the whole year.
Yeah.
But how do you describe the show? Like, how do you sum it up to somebody that hasn't experienced it?
I mean, it's like, I hear people say it's the world's greatest car show. I mean, it is where all of like the best vehicles come out to play for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to describe because there's just it's any niche that you're into, there's something there for you. So if you're, into like restoration cars, like they're there. If you're into sport compact, they're there. It's just anything that you're into, like you can find it there. And I think the fun thing is that it's not just that one niche. It's you get to see all of the other niches and like what they're doing. And I think that's kind of like fun, the way that they all like come together.
Yeah. When I went the first time, I walked into a building and it was nothing but like auto body stuff as far as the eye could see, which was amazing, but I just don't speak the language,
Yeah.
But that's, I mean, you see so much of everything. It's so inclusive. It's just, to your point, I think there's something for everyone and then some. It's just, there's nothing like it globally. I don't think there's anything really that compares to the SEMA show. And it's pretty cool. Related, what automotive trends do you see starting to manifest, right? And conversely, I'm sure you've seen some things fade away too. Like what do you see more and more of?
Yeah. So I mean, one of the things that I think is just sort of interesting right now that's happening is like we're talking about the restoration market, like the Japanese, like the JDM vehicles, they're becoming a part of like the restoration community. So there's those sort of like
interesting
underlying trends that are happening in that space. I think that's really cool. The overlanding has been one that like just keeps climbing and growing, and more opportunities in that space. And in one of the trends that we're seeing just in general is like the market for truck and off-road is growing significantly. And there's all performance is always going to be cool. You know, I have a 16-year-old and he's like, we have to have a vehicle that revs. And he's very interested in that. So, right, like all of the performance modifications are in that space as well. But the trends that we're seeing really that are really growing is in the truck and off-road world.
Interesting. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you raised him really well.
Yeah.
Shifting gears.
Yeah.
So that's
Tell us real quickly. We all had the opportunity to enjoy your own podcast and what that's been like, not only as a company leader, but obviously, you know, the SEMA stuff, but also, you know, you're having to spotlight, you know, your guest and talk us through Hitchin' and Hollin and kind of what the genesis of it was and where you see it going.
Yes.
Because it dovetails back into Ryan's point real quickly about, you know, all the good works that your company has done over the past, you know, 80 years and what it has for the future. And I think it's a great example of that.
Yeah. So I just sunsetted it. So what's there is there. I just took a break, I should say, for
Sure.
Fair enough.
Of the Hitchin' Holland. But I mean, one of the things I love about this industry is the connection and the community. It's so passionate. People love what they're doing. And so it's so fun to talk to people about that. And one of the things that we really did on the Hitchin' Holland podcast was get curious about people. And I loved that. That was so fun to like just ask people questions. People I knew well too, you know, walking through like their own stories. I've learned more, and I love that part of like what we do in the industry in general. And that was really fun part for me.
I think it really highlights how much people collaborate in this industry versus being combative.
Yeah.
You know, this is not to denigrate in other industries, but like, you know, you're not in constant competition. Sometimes your competitor is your friend, and many times it is.
It is.
And you're helping solve, even if you have similar products or live in similar spaces, you're helping each other solve similar problems.
Yeah.
And I don't think that gets highlighted enough versus a lot of other ways they think of capitalism, and everybody's always fighting against one another, even if you live in similar spaces. And so, you know, it was fun to listen, and I appreciate why you needed to sunset it, but it was fun to listen. You bring people in that maybe were collaborative and not competitive, but complementary, and they shared their story, and it goes back to the core of maybe why we're all on this podcast together. Like, there's still a core that we all share, or at least want to foster. And that's great that, you know, your son's getting a part of that and your family's getting a part of that in your adventures. And like, that's really what we're here for. That's what this podcast is about. That's why we're all here talking. And ultimately, you know, this is a connectivity. This is not a separation. And even if you do the same thing in the same space, doesn't mean you have to be at each other's throats. And I think your podcast demonstrated that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So, podcasts are a lot of work too, though, aren't they? Maybe that's what you're going to get that, Lindsay. But right, I don't think people realize, you know, what goes into the scheduling, right? Like it's a lot.
Yeah,
unless you've done it.
Yeah, the four of us to get us all on this time, right? It's hard to do that. Yeah. So that takes some effort, and then you know, there's editing that has to sometimes happen. And not even that, it's really like that much editing. It's like putting bumpers and things like that. It's just work.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah,
it's all the post-production. Yeah, I know. I always say that I'm not busy until I try to plan something, and then you're trying to do that with 4 people, and it's, you know, it takes a lot.
Yeah.
One of the things I was going to ask you, and it's something I always notice when people are posting all the pictures from the SEMA show, is the trucks. Like, they're just so spectacular and unique. And you mentioned you are an overlander yourself. I'm like, I love overloader, but you can't call someone an overloader.
Yeah, don't say that in the wrong company.
No,
right?
I know.
Yeah.
But so, what is your favorite? Like I guess over the course of your automotive life, which has been a lot like most of your life, what's been either your favorite truck to overland in, your favorite truck just to drive, or like what's your favorite truck that you've seen at SEMA?
So I just traded in my Raptor. I had 150,000 miles on my Raptor, and I didn't overland in it. I didn't, my family and I.
very fun. I love that.
Oh my gosh, it was so fun. So, but I had 150,000 miles on it, and she's a little tired. But we have always had Fords in our lineup. So I did trade. I traded her in for a diesel Silverado. So I'm now driving a ZR2 diesel Silverado. Which it's a lovely vehicle, but it's just not a Raptor. So I feel like
No, it's not.
I see the
Yeah, you're speaking to Lindsay. You're speaking Lindsay's language here.
yeah. So
My daily is an F-150. So yeah.
okay. Yeah. So I see Raptors on the road, and I feel like it's like that, like the love that got away. Like I run them like I'm, yeah.
You have
You're
pangs,
you're pining for the old high school flame a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. So I'll own one again. But every time I say that, I have to like, pat my truck and say, but I still love you. You're awesome.
Yeah.
You're just as good in different ways.
Right for now, right?
Yeah.
So
Only a mother could say that as far as like, we love you equally, just different.
Just different.
Yeah.
Just different.
Yeah.
So Melanie, I have to ask, so our own Michael Assasso here loves himself a good North Star powered Cadillac. I know for a fact, I myself have a weakness for the occasional Buick Riata. Lindsay can spot a PT Cruiser from a mile away. So SEMA Chair, Melanie White, what is your automotive guilty pleasure?
Oh, I mean, I just talked about it. My Raptor is my.
That's it. Okay. Well, that's it should be a little
Excellent choice.
embarrassing or something.
We need to
That's
ask
too
a question.
cool.
Was it the twin turbo or was it the
Oh.
V8? Like that's that because it is fair to say in the Raptor community, there's the V8 people and there's the V6 people,
Yes.
and so that there's a division even within that subset.
Yeah.
I have the V6, which I loved, and we'll see what I get into next. But for my first vehicle though, so I had we called it the Brown Bomb, but it was a Caprice Classic.
Oh my gosh.
The square 80s Caprice?
Was it,
yeah.
did you have the sedan or the station wagon?
The sedan.
Oh, okay. I had a gray station wagon version of that.
Did
was
you
what I liked
really?
to drive in.
Okay. So, I mean,
It's remarkable.
yep. Really comfy comfy seats, right? All of the things, but it was, it's pretty special.
It desperately needed your products.
It had my products on it. It was like a retired vehicle from the sales fleet. Yeah, so I did the same thing. I bought my son a retired vehicle from a Hellwig, but his is like cool, like Ranger overlanding, and I had like the Caprice Classic with the headliner that'd come down. So I don't know if yours did that, but we'd have to like push it back up.
It'd be sagging just in one, like over on the side, and you're like, yeah, just go under that. And
Yeah.
it needs what's the automotive version of like, what is it, a blepharostomy when you get your eyelids taken in? Like,
Yeah.
those headliners needed that.
Yeah.
But it's, you know what? It's a formative, like it's a rite of passage to drive something like that when you're learning to drive. Because I think it makes you appreciate everything after that.
It does. And it didn't matter. Like I'm the oldest of four. So it was freedom. Like it didn't matter.
Right.
I was happy to, go to the grocery store and with the headliner hanging down. It was just, it was freedom.
Right.
You can
Plus
appreciate
you
a
could pretend
three
you were an
body
undercover
trunk.
cop,
Yeah, you can fit anything in that trunk. I mean, that was the sneak into the drive-in with 4 friends who didn't pay trunk.
I know.
But you're right. I remember being like, oh, the car needs gas. Oh, we need 3 eggs.
Yeah.
Oh, now we need,
Yeah. I need a quart of milk.
Yeah.
A half a quart of milk?
Any excuse to be behind the wheel for sure. But like you said, my version desperately needed your products because when I think about that car in my mind, it's the car doing this over even the most,
Right? Wasn't it like just
shallow?
Yeah.
It was like a cruise.
You
Just
called it the
swayed.
gray whale, and it was like, it had its own weather pattern and sound effects, and definitely would have benefited from some Hellwig help.
Yeah.
And that's probably a $20,000 car now if you could find one that wasn't
Really
rusted
nice
out
one.
or completely clapped out. Like, like it's shocking what those things. I mean, nostalgia is a powerful drug, right?
Yeah,
So people were willing to pay up for those things, but we rode them hard. We were, put them away wet and
Yep.
And
but
good
they
riddance. What?
but they imbued us with that passion, right? That a passion to travel, whether that's to see things, whether that's to be behind the wheel, like you said, Lindsay. Just, it showed us what's possible in a good way, and hopefully the next generation and your son can also experience that, because that's what it was for us.
Yeah.
Well, freedom. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could bottle that sense, right? You could sell it for $1 million, right?
Yeah.
Right. I know. There's nothing quite like.
Oh, we've all been chasing it one way or another,
Oh, yeah.
since, in our own form of it, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's 4x4ing or racing or
Sure.
modifying, or like we're all just chasing that first high. But it's a genuine lifelong passion that is productive. Like it pushes you to meet people, it pushes you to do better, it pushes you to and Melanie, to your point about improving or innovating, we're always pushing the bar a little bit forward. And I think, to your point, even with the JDM stuff, like we wouldn't be where we're at today if it wasn't for the forefathers, like your great grandfather and the people, that pushed things farther than here's a piece of utility, just go use it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of wonderful toaster engineers, but I don't know that that's going to be the thing that someone puts on their gravestone. Versus we lost Scuderian a couple weeks ago at 104, and that gentleman changed the way people did camshafts, and that just showed people what's possible, and that's fun. I mean, in the same way that to some small degree Einstein showed people what was possible in his field. It's like it just expands the human knowledge and expands the experience, and I appreciate that Hellwig's been around as long as it has, continuing that trend of showing people what's possible.
Thank you.
So, Melanie, we had Haggerty's John Wiley on a few weeks ago to talk about the bull market list that he puts together each year. And these are the cars that he thinks are sure to go up in value. I think you've got a really unique insight into this world. Of course, John uses research and science and rigorous methodology. But what's interesting is, his database choices often really align with our own gut feelings. We've christened our list the That Car Show Bullshit Market List, and we've been asking our guests since John's appearance to maybe name a couple cars they think we should all be buying now that we think will go up in value. Are there a couple that you'd throw?
Well, so we talked about my Caprice Classic, so that
well, obviously,
needs to be on.
That's a shoe-in.
Yeah. So we just recently had a customer order, and we still make them, but these Astro minivan space.
Oh my gosh.
So
like first gen?
Yes. They wanted, and we still have them in our catalog. Like we sell a little bit of them, but not a lot. And so we're like, oh my gosh, are these coming back? So that's my contribution to your list.
That's a brilliant
choice.
ad, because people forget they actually had an all-wheel drive version of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so they will hot rod the 4.3, which is the same 4.3 in the Typhoon and the Cyclone. And they will, like, that's a great ad. By the way, everybody should buy one of those right now, because if they're not rusted out, it's a $1,500 car.
Yeah.
Especially if you can find an all-wheel drive one. And I by the way, I had no idea. I actually want to find one. I didn't realize what products do you make for it? Sway bars or front and rear? Because it didn't come with a rear.
It didn't come with the rear, so I definitely make the rear. I'm not positive about the front. So I had a customer ordering the rear, and we were like, they got the part number wrong, and they didn't. So.
Oh my God! I had no. Now I'm going to buy one just to buy the rear, and then I'll ask you to make a front, because the front's probably a 3/4 inch bar, and make an 1.25 inch, and it'll be. Oh my God, that would be so much fun. Can you imagine a three-door Astrovan?
Yeah,
you can expect another Astro order.
I know.
Imminently.
Yeah.
All-wheel drive.
More, Melanie.
400 horsepower.
Yeah.
And you could overland in it. Like you could throw an air mattress in the back of that thing. You could do it. Oh my God.
Does that have the ground clearance though? Or I guess you could lift it.
You could lift it. I mean, it's basically an S10 chassis.
Yeah.
So you could put, it's independent front. Maybe is it a torsion front? I don't remember. I have to look. It doesn't matter. Like it's infinitely. There's enough catalog stuff. You could have a lot of fun with that. But you guys make a rear bar for that. I'm going on Marketplace tonight. I'm going to find an Astrovan, a 93, 94 all-wheel drive Astrovan.
I want to see pictures.
I will say, like I drove one of the last gen of those, and I was astounded at how nice they drove. I mean, it was truly lovely. Where I'm like, I did not expect that, but it was a delightful driving experience.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
imagine it with Hellwig products on it.
That's a
I
great
know.
call.
Then it would have been
Mark my words.
transcendent.
Melanie's go buy the Astro Market right now because you could corner it because she's 100% right. Those are going to go. Because
I
here's the
love
thing:
it.
it's a $1,500 car. If you can sell it for $5,000, where are you going to get that kind of return? Like, it's better than buying gold.
That's a great answer. We had Lynn Woodward, the journalist, on. Was that last week? It seems like forever
Yeah, last
ago.
week
But
from Kelly Blue Book.
yeah, her answer to that question was the AMC Eagle.
Yeah.
And like, that's a car I think most people probably have completely forgotten about.
Yeah.
That was like the perfect answer. And I think the Astro is a wonderful answer.
But
I'm
here's
pretty
why her
impressed with our
answer.
list.
But that's why her answer is genius. You cannot find parts for that car.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't even find like aftermarket parts for that, or I mean like replacement, like used junkyard parts for that car. Whereas the Astrovan, again, I'm pretty sure it's pretty much S10 based or S15 based. You can find like they repop pretty much everything. So if you need a ball joint, you need a control arm, you need whatever, you can pretty much get it. And then if you can modify it, like sky's the limit.
What's your AMC stock like these days, Mel?
Not great.
So what we're going to do is we'll send you the BS market list so that you can review and see if you want to ramp up manufacturing in any certain areas in preparation.
Great.
Yeah, Kenosha,
You know what?
Wisconsin's never been the same since AMC left town. So.
You know what? That brings up a good point that I've always wanted to ask. That I had a conversation with somebody at Borla a couple of years ago because they used to make products for certain GM products that they no longer do. How do you guys handle? Are you guys open to old stock numbers? Or if someone calls up and did you make a product for XYZ and you say, yes, we used to, but we don't currently. How do you handle that? And is it advantageous for you to do that? Is it overly costly to like step me through that? If an obsolete part number, I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, so I actually private label some obsolete part numbers. So people will come to me and say, I have Astrovan still in my lineup. So, but let's just pretend I don't. They come to me and say, I would really love to start private labeling Astrovans, sway bars. And I can say, yeah, I still have the dies. I still have the, it's really, do I still have the dies to support it? So, I'm going to keep all of the, all of the tech sheets, all of the information to go with it. It's just, do I have the actual equipment to still make it? So it's going to fit like on the equipment I already make or, use all of that. So it's just, but we do sunset some stuff, just if things kind of die down. We went and started to, these are going to be obsolete here soon. We had a whole list of them and whatever's happening. So right now people are keeping their vehicles so much longer. Like I just learned the average cost of a car payment is $722 or something like that. It's bananas. And so people are keeping their cars like so much longer. They're now in this like 12 and a half year range, almost 13 years people are keeping their cars. But that means, so we had all of these obsolete vehicles where like, okay, these applications, people aren't using them anymore. And it's all of a sudden we got this huge rush of like almost all of the parts on that list were ones that came into our order bank. And I was like, okay, we'll keep them going for longer. So it was kind of wild, like the trends we're seeing in this space.
It's always nice when you're like, I guess we have different data now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I commend you guys for fostering and continuing that because not all, and I appreciate the logistics of it, but not every company can or wants to continue supporting that stuff. And it goes back to our earlier conversation about right to repair. It's like, if you don't have the OE support, which is dwindling for a number of factors, if you don't have the aftermarket support, it's hard to tell somebody that their car's worthless or it's unrepairable. And
I know. I
applaud you guys for being willing to at least look back and say, okay, yeah, we can try that. Because not everybody's willing to do that. And that's a testament to why you guys have been around as long as you have. So kudos. And thank you for supporting the rest of us as we do crazy stuff, but also just keeping things running, keeping everything possible.
Yeah.
I want to be respectful of our time and your time, rather. Say that again. I want to be respectful of your time, Melanie. So we should probably Gosh, I am off today. I'm sorry.
You're just
try
bowled
this-
over because we're in the presence of SEMA royalty, Ryan.
that, and I still got Astros on my mind.
I know. We're all just starstruck now.
Everybody needs to go on Facebook Marketplace today
Oh
and
my
find
gosh.
it.
I mean, now I'm curious about the station wagon. Like, as much PTSD as I have from that thing.
Oh,
I
that
am
wagon.
curious.
Here's the
I
thing.
know.
That wagon would bring, because here's all of us, especially, we saw that in every car chase movie, every like Lethal Weapon. That's what they drove. Like that is like the that was a cop car for every Beverly Hills Cop. Like that was the car.
Yeah.
So like that was the thing.
Yeah.
There's a sub market for BC4 cars that were police car. I go down that rabbit hole, but anyway,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. Find a Caprice, find an Astro.
Yeah.
You will triple your money.
But
You
what
heard
were
it
you
here
saying,
first.
Ryan? I know you were
No,
trying to
I want to be respectful
of time, and we're
of
all
your
just
time,
yammering
Melanie.
on.
So, where do we find Hellwig products online? Where do we learn more? And also, where do we find SEMA online?
Yeah, so you can find Hellwig products at hellwigproducts.com, and SEMA is SEMA.org.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah.
And both on Instagram as well.
Yep, both
On
are on
social media?
Instagram. Yep. So yeah, Hellwig's under Hellwig products there, and then SEMA is under SEMA. There's even one specifically for the SEMA show on it.
Oh, nice. So then we can remind ourselves that they are distinct.
Yeah.
But related.
Yeah.
I have a
Does Hell-
totally unrelated but just like silly question for you, because I saw that you had managed a gourmet French bakery at one point earlier in your career. And I think next to cars, my love of France they're probably tied.
Uh-huh.
So what is your favorite French meal or pastry?
Yeah. So I kind of got a little, I won't lie, like a little bit turned off. So of the
That's fair.
because it was a real French baker, so he was like, maybe also didn't believe in the
Right.
powers like the rest of us do too. So yeah, that was a fun time of my life. Yeah,
You're like that. I'm happy to never go back to.
food service is like real. It's real work. Anyone in
It
food
is
service,
right. It's formative.
yes, I really applaud them. But we had like amazing pastries. So like all of the croissants, like he'd, roll in the butter and all of the things there. So I got to see all of that. And every time I eat one, I'm like, oh, this is so good, but this is so much butter in it. Yeah. So that was, there's one pastry though that he would make and that I don't get to see very often, and I can like see it in my head. It is like a pretzel, but it's like sugary and crispy. Anyways, I know
Oh.
that. Yeah, and it's not
That
coming to
sounds
my
delicious.
mind. Yeah.
Well, we're glad to have you back in the automotive world. Cars are healthy,
Yes.
as we
Yeah.
all know.
Yeah. No
Very
bother with them.
Very affordable, very practical.
Low cal,
Yeah,
low carb.
really.
Financially,
Great
not so
decision.
much.
Great life decisions all the way around.
Yeah.
Well, we really enjoyed talking with you, Melanie.
You're amazing. Thank you.
So thank you for being here. We'd love to have you back sometime.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see you at SEMA this year, if not before. But Melanie White, CEO of Hellwig Products, chair of SEMA, really appreciate having you on That Car Show today. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And remember, always be driving, and we'll see you next week.